Hi everyone, welcome to today's lesson. We actually haven't recorded for some time. It is spring outside and it's so beautiful. I wish I could take my camera out there and show you what our yard is doing, but I won't torture you. So we're going to dive in today and we're going to talk more about the doubling rule. We have talked about that, but we can't get enough of the doubling rule because it confuses so many people. Prefixes and suffixes again, and we're really going to focus on the direct object, the indirect object, just the object positions in a sentence. So we're going to start with object positions in a sentence. Do you guys know about that? Yeah, we have studied that as a family quite a bit. So now there are three object positions in a sentence. What are they? So we have direct objects, indirect objects, and objects of the preposition. There are three that can go in a sentence. All right, so let's talk about object. Now we have ject. We know that this is a Latin root because we can see the CT at the end. And ject means to throw. And OB means toward or against. So you're throwing something toward or against something. And that's what these objects are doing. They're doing something special. These are all nouns or pronouns, and they're being thrown into a certain position in a sentence. Okay? Now, let's read these first sentences. And I was watching Psych with the boys, and there's this episode that made me think about this.
Okay.
Yeah, it was the last one we just saw.
The hiker sneaks his boot.
Okay, so it says the hiker sneaks his boots. Now, you guys tell me, can you immediately find the direct object in this sentence?
Is it sneaks?
Boots. So we have the direct object is the boots. Now, how do we find that though? So Daniel actually has studied that quite a bit. So is what you do is you first find the verb. To really be able to find your direct object, you have to know what your verb is. And this is the verb, okay? He sneaks. And then what's receiving the sneak?
The boots.
The boots are receiving the sneak, right? Now the hiker's doing the sneaking, but the boots are receiving the action of the sneaks. And that's how you find it. What I think is what you're saying is what is being snuck. You can say that. You can change it into the past tense. And what is being snuck? The boots are being snuck. So, it's okay to change it in the past tense to find out your position. And that's what Daniel was doing. He's asking that question, what's being snuck? Well, the boots are being snuck. Well, who's doing the sneaking? And so that's how you ask the questions. The hiker is doing the sneaking. That's how you find your subject. But we're mostly focusing on how do you find your direct object. Now, look at this one. The hiker sneaks me his boots. So tell me what's in that.
Direct object?
Okay, you have a direct object. What is it?
Boots.
Boots is your direct object.
Me.
And
your indirect.
Me is your indirect object. Now, how you find that is, first off, you find your verb. Okay, there's your verb. The hiker sneaks. So there's your did. It's doing something. It's sneaking, right? So, but then what sneaks? What's being snuck? The boots are being snuck. Now here is how you find your indirect object. Who is receiving the boots? So the hiker is sneaking the boots to me. All right? And you see how this is sitting between your verb and your direct object. That is the only way you can have an indirect object between the verb and the direct object. You can't have it any other way unless it's between the two. Okay? Now you can have obviously adjectives and those type of things describing adverbs, but it still has to be in between them. All right, so now that's how you find. You cannot have an indirect object without a direct object. They don't exist. You have to have this, you have to have this. So the hiker crawled around the rocks. Okay, what object position do we have in there?
Rocks.
Nice. What is it?
A preposition.
So
Preposition.
Object of the preposition. So here, right here, is your preposition. If you don't understand your prepositions, you need to get them out and memorize them, because your preposition has a relationship with your noun, with the object of the preposition. Your noun relates to this. Now remember, here's my chair. So we are around the chair where, well, you can't really go in the chair, but I'm going to try. I'm on the chair. I'm by the chair. So I'm under the chair. I'm over the chair. So see how you're going to have a relationship with this noun. This is my noun. And so you're going to have that relationship. And that's how you find your object of the preposition right there. And it's super important. Now these are the workhorses, that's what they call them, the workhorses of a sentence, because they're packed in sentences and they describe and describe and describe. They're fantastic. They can act as adjectives and they can act as adverbs. They're just fantastic. Okay, so also I wanted us to talk about, I want you to understand how important it is how you conjugate a verb. And we're just going to briefly go over that. Now, we have hiker right here, which is singular or plural?
Singular.
This is singular. But we have a plural S right here. But is this plural?
No.
It's not. Is this plural?
No.
This is not plural. This is singular. It looks plural, but it's not. The only time you put the plural S on there is when you have third person,
simple present.
Singular,
Third person singular
present. Yeah. So oftentimes you'll see it in the simple present. So that's what this one is. This is in the simple, and we've talked about the simple, the progressive, anyways, these will be in third person, simple present, singular. Third person, simple present, singular. Third person, say it with me, boys. Third person, simple present, singular. It is very important that you understand that. It does not have helping verbs in front of it, so that makes it simple if you do not have a helping verb here. So that's the only time you put a plural S on here. But what if we put the plural S right? So if we put the S right here, can we have an S right here?
Yeah.
No, because that is no longer, when you're conjugating a verb, that is no longer singular. So that's why it's so confusing. You have to learn how to conjugate your verbs. Absolutely have to learn how to do that, or you will not get this right. Some people can hear it and it sounds wrong, but there's often times where it doesn't sound wrong, but you get it wrong because you don't understand how to conjugate your verbs. All right? The cat chases the snake. All right, so what's your object there?
Snake.
Okay, snake, what is it?
It's a direct object.
It's a direct object. Okay, so now your verb. What's your verb?
Chases.
Chases. So you have to find your verb to really understand what your direct object is. So chases, what's being chased? So the cat is doing the chasing, right? That's the subject. But what's receiving the chase? The snake is. So whatever is receiving the chase, you're going to have your direct object. Now, why do we care where our object positions are? Well, it's because some words will only fit in object positions. There are some words that will only, they can't fit anywhere else besides an object position. And if you don't understand what an object position is, then you can't use those words properly. All right? Now, nouns and pronouns are the only ones that can sit in object positions. So now, let's say the cat showed Cindy the snake. Okay, what are your object positions here?
Snake.
Snake?
Cindy is.
And Cindy is the indirect object. Okay, so we have our verb. Now also, I've noticed, but not always obviously, but I've noticed that it's easier to find or write with an indirect object if you have past tense. And that's obviously not 100% true, because right here, we have the hiker sneaks me. But here we have the cat showed, but I feel it's easier to write with past tense if you trying to get an indirect object. So we have the cat showed, there's your verb, right? Well, what's being showed?
Okay.
The snake is being showed. We don't show Cindy. We're not showing Cindy. Hey, here you go. We're not showing Cindy. Cindy is being showed the snake. See how she's receiving the snake being showed. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, the cat offered the snake to Cindy. What's in there?
That's just weird like that.
What's that?
Cats are just weird like that.
Well, it's not weird. It means they really like you. Okay, so what's in here?
Cindy is a preposition.
Yes, Cindy is the object of the preposition. Here is your prepositional phrase. Now remember, to can be other parts of speech. Here it is a prepositional phrase. Cindy is a noun. She's a person. And so she is the object of the preposition here. So now let's also look right here, what we talked about, conjugating our verb. Now, why does this have an ES and this doesn't have an S? Shouldn't the plurals match? For you to understand this, you have to know that to have the S right here, you have to have third person. What else?
Simple present.
Simple present. Singular. So you have to know what that is. Third person, simple present, and it has to be singular to add on the S. Okay, so now...
Also, snake is a direct object.
Yes, the cat offered the snake. What's being offered? The snake is being offered. Very good. Thank you. Okay, so now let's look at the next sentence. Her husband selected his wife the most beautiful nativity for Easter. And I actually leave my nativity up till Easter because studies show that Jesus was actually born in April. And so I leave my nativity up till then. So I had my boys actually go through it, see if they could pick it out. But we're gonna find the verb first.
Selected.
Selected is your verb. Okay. And so now, what's receiving the selected? Let's ask the question. What's receiving the selected? Nativity. So that's what's being selected. So this is your direct object. Now, who is receiving the nativity? Who is the nativity going to be given to?
The wife.
The wife. So this is your indirect object. So see how this is between the verb and the direct object. That's how you find, see, we have lots of words in here, adjectives to describe, but that's where you're going to find it. Now, this we have, for is your preposition, and this is the object of the preposition. Okay, for Easter. This is a noun. Okay. Lisa gave Richard padded biking shorts for his birthday. I actually did. His birthday's in 2 days, and I think he's going to be super excited about them. I hope they fit him. But anyways, what's the verb in here?
Gave.
Nice. Okay, so there's your verb is gave. So what is receiving the gave?
Biking shorts.
So the biking shorts. So the shorts, so that means that this is your direct object. Now, who's going to receive the shorts?
Richard.
Richard is. So this is your indirect object.
AKA Dad.
So see how right here is your verb, right here is your direct object, and your indirect object is between the two.
Birthday.
So birthday, for right here, is your preposition, and birthday is the object of the preposition. So see how you can have you could have all of them, and you can have them in multiples in a sentence, depending on how big your sentence is. Okay, so we have this sentence: the forest in Delaware offered the elf different shades of color to disappear in. Okay, so now what is your verb in here?
Offered.
Nice, good. So we have offered. What's receiving the offer?
Shades.
Shades. Okay, so this is the direct object. It's receiving exactly what's being offered. It's offering the shade. But who's going to receive the shade? The shades. The elf is going to receive this. Do you see that? So that is why this is the indirect object. So the elf receives this. See how we have our verb and it is between, the indirect object falls between the verb and the direct object. Now we have another object position. What is it? No? Nice, good. So that's the object of the preposition. There is your prepositional. This is a prepositional phrase describing shades. And we have another one. What is it? Can you stop doing that, please, sweetie?
Delaware.
Nice. So Delaware is the object of the preposition. What's your preposition in this word?
Person.
In. It's in Delaware. You're inside of Delaware, right? So there is your preposition. It has a relationship with Delaware. Okay? The forest in Delaware. What's your subject? The forest is the subject. Who offered? Okay, who did the offering? Okay, in one of the Mississippi ponds, my grandfather caught my restaurant a 500-pound catfish. This is totally make-believe. I bet you cannot beat those bragging rights.
But you can.
Okay, so now I'm going to go over a comma rule in this one really quick. If you have, see how these are prepositional phrases. Actually, where is the object in these really quick?
One.
One is the object of the preposition. Ponds. And this is the object of the preposition. Okay, so in one, this is your prepositional phrase, and this is your, well, this is a prepositional phrase, and this is your preposition, and this is a prepositional phrase, and this is your preposition. So how many words do we have here that's starting off? This is it's starting off a sentence as a prepositional phrase. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now the rule is if you have 4 or 5, it depends on how big your words are. If you have really big words, I would say 4 words. But if you have at least 5 words, you have to comma it. So since there's 6, well, or that there's 5, this has to have a comma right here. Now if you have 4 words and it feels like that comma needs to force a pause there, then go ahead and put the comma there. But if you have 4 words there, you don't have to do it if you start with a prepositional phrase. Now, what's your verb in here?
Caught.
Nice. So there's your verb. So what's receiving the caught?
The grandfather.
No, the grandfather isn't receiving. He's doing the cut. He's doing it. What did he do? That's the grandfather.
Catfish.
Who did it is the grandfather. So what's being caught? It's the catfish is being caught. So this is your direct object. All right? So, well, who's going to receive the catfish?
Restaurant.
The restaurant. So this is the indirect object. See how the indirect object is sitting right between your verb and your direct object. Now also remember, unless it's a date, you really need to be writing out. You shouldn't write it like this, 500, even though I really wanted to, but I didn't do it. It's so much easier and so much faster when you're writing out these many words. But I bet you cannot beat those bragging rights. Okay, so what do we have here? We have an object position in this sentence. What is it? What's interesting about this sentence is that you can have clausals as you're acting as nouns. You can have prepositional phrases acting as nouns. You can have all different things, noun phrases. But anyways, this is a clausal right here. Boop, boop. And you know that because you have a subject and you have a verb. But this whole clause is acting as your direct object. So to actually diagram this, you're gonna do like this. So you would say, I bet, and then see how your direct object goes right here? But then you're gonna be sitting it on a tree. And then you're gonna diagram this whole clause right here, just like you would do the first part. Anyways, so you can have direct objects working in those positions. It's really fun. It's actually like a puzzle. So fun to do. Okay, so now we're going to talk about this again. Indirect objects come after the verb and before the direct objects. Now, if you look at this sentence right here, we have indirect objects come. We have object positions in here. What is that? What are they? And I went ahead and capitalized them. You probably shouldn't in your sentence, but I wanted them to stand out and for you to really see. So I went ahead and capitalized them. But what are your object positions in this sentence right here?
Back.
What? Verb. So this is what kind? So the object of the preposition, because this right here is your preposition. And then what do we have?
Object of the preposition.
Before the direct objects right there. This is the object of the preposition. Here is your preposition. So this whole thing is your prepositional phrase. This is your prepositional phrase. This is your prepositional phrase. Okay? So we're going to go into your prefixes. This is something that you guys actually really do need to memorize because it's going to help you understand how to understand your words. And when you're having prefixes, it really drastically changes the meaning. Suffixes, they actually just kind of move it around. Let's go. Miss means wrong. It means the opposite or lack of, like the word mistake. See how if you have that, you know it's a mistake, it's wrong. How about misenter? You went into the wrong place. Right here, we have, this is super confusable. We have miss here and miss here. Completely different words. Miss as a prefix is M-I-S. Miss as a word is M-I-S-S. It follows the spelling rule. Okay? So this is I miss you. Don't miss the ball. This miss, this miss. So this is past tense and this is actually with a T. And this is like the miss, the water. This means water. And this one is I miss you, I've missed you. So past tense. So be really careful with these two words right here. But if you're using it as a prefix, it's M-I-S, one S, not two. We have the word extra, which I thought this was super fascinating. X is your chameleon prefix, right? And tra is another prefix. So X means beyond, and tra means out of. Extra means beyond, out of, outside. So, oh, my nose itches. So extra can be its very own word. You can add the plural S to it to make it be more than one, like extras in a movie, extra napkins, extra plates. We did extra to make sure that we had enough food. So, or what is also really interesting right here is we have extra. So extra and extra, they have the same meaning. And you'll see extra more than extra, like extrovert. But it's really interesting here. You could also have extrovert, which is not as common, but extrovert, it's the same thing. So I thought that was really fun. We also have inter, which means between, and they could be nouns or adjectives. Mono. So we have mono. It means one, or a single, or alone. Or we have pre, that means before, prior to stop bad things from happening. I actually really loved that things. So if you knew in advance, pre means before, you could stop bad things from happening to yourself or other people, right? Okay, so now we have trans, and that means across to the other side. So if you think transcontinental, that's what I think. That one really cinches it and it helps remember. It's across, or it's going to the other side of the continent. All right, so now we have post, which means behind or after, depending on the word. Micro means small, or it can mean extremely small. So oftentimes when you think about an organism or something, that's going to be the extremely small, but you can have microeconomics, that it's visual, but so that's small. We have macro, that's great, big or long. And then I'm sneaking in a suffix right here, boys. We have eyes. And you think about education, and eyes means you're conforming to, and that's when we receive an education, whatever the education is, you're conforming to that. And that's if you think about, do you remember the red scarf girl that you guys talked about?
Oh yeah.
They took over the schools, they took over everybody's education and conformed them to thinking a certain way and doing a certain thing.
I read and listened to it.
Yeah, it was a really good book. Yeah, so you think about that. That's why it's so important that you know where you get your education, because wherever you're getting your education, you're conforming to that. All right, so now we have, look at this. And I'm sneaking in another suffix here, typhus and typhus. Now you have to be really careful with the OUS in words. Now OUS is a suffix if it's sitting on a base word, just your main word, or it could be part of the word. Now these are both spelled correctly, and it just depends on how you're going to use your word. Does that make sense, Paul? Okay, so it just depends on how you're spelling your word. So we have changed things a little bit here. Now, if you're using it as a suffix, it is OUS. Sometimes it's OUS if it's on a base word, or it's just US. So if you don't know, look it up. Okay, so just be aware that this happens. Now we have, semi, which means partly or half, like if you think of a semi truck. So you think about it's partly, it could be broken apart and just drive all by itself. Now I love this one, and I think it's actually really fun. Unit. Think of a mythical horse, like a unicorn with one horn, right? Now, if you think of, now you can think of a uniform, okay? Now, think of unify. You're going to unify a rival army, right? You're going to unify them and work together. And I love this word, unique. It's unlike anything else. Like Daniel is unique, Paul is unique. Each one of us are unique. We are one of a kind. Uni means one. See how we're going to unify into one horn, one uniform. We're being consistent. We're looking the same. So also, I didn't want you to get confused with uni and un. It can be confusing. And so if you see un, like you unwrap, un plus your verb, it does the opposite of what it is doing. So if you wrap the gift, un does the opposite of what you actually want it to do. Una just means one. This does not. So be careful. If you see un, doesn't mean you have this prefix. UN also means United Nations, and UN means not. So unseemly or unfounded, not seemly. So just make sure that you are not getting those confused. Okay, so we have ism right here, and it is a suffix. It means doctrine, it's a condition, it's a philosophy. So when you have this on the end of words, then it could mean these things. All right, so we have auto, which means self. So whenever you see that as a prefix, you're going to know it means self. Or we have aut, which also means self, that can go on a few words. Most of the time you're going to see this auto. So especially it's going to mean self, especially if the person is doing it by themselves. So like an autobiography. An autobiography, you're writing something down about your life and it's about you. You're doing it yourself. If it's a biography, somebody else could be doing it for you. But since you're writing it, it's an autobiography. So an autograph, would that be considered if it's by yourself? So my autograph is Lisa. Now if Daniel came up and wrote that, then that would not be an autograph, right? Because he's not doing it, he's doing it for me. So it's not the self. Also, auto is relating to a car. So when you see that, but it's also a prefix on that because it's considered an automobile. So before we had auto and it was a mobile, it was moving by itself. It's no longer being a horse-drawn carriage. And that's how we used to get our vehicles to move, is with a horse, with something that powered it that way. Now it's doing it by itself. Okay, so now let's go into the doubling rule. Now you guys remember, we have the doubling rule that's super important, right? So, we're gonna go a little bit even deeper. We're just going to talk about why things are doubled. But we're definitely going to talk about the doubling rule. This right here is the doubling rule. All right, we have our base word here. It says bud. If we have a consonant, vowel, consonant, then we know it is going to be doubled before you add on a vowel suffix. So when you have a one-syllable word, that's when you know you need to be looking for the doubling. Consonant, vowel, consonant. Shred is your base word here. So you have a consonant, vowel, consonant. You look at the last three letters and if it's a consonant, vowel, consonant, it's a one-syllable word, then you know you need to double it. If you're adding on a vowel suffix right here. So we have two vowels right here. And well, why is this being doubled? Well, we have, because it's not going to be the doubling rule like this. It's a completely different reason why it's going to be doubled. Why? That's exactly right. So we have, the rule is if you have one vowel and it's right next to it. See how the F is right next to your vowel? If you had like a C or an N or any of the consonants between the F and the vowel, it's not going to be doubled. So if you have an F, L, S, or a Z, you are going to double it. If you have one vowel and it's followed right next to it, then it's going to be doubled. So this says off, hand. But oftentimes this will be at the end of words. But the reason why it's in here like this is because it's a compound word. Okay, so now we have two vowels here again. So, but the rule is you only are allowed one vowel, but how come we're having two vowels?
Because it's a compound.
Because it's a compound word. So this is send off, and we have one vowel, and since it's ending in an F, these are at the end of words, you're going to double it. We're going to double our F's. We're going to double our L's, we're going to double our S's and our Z's. If you have one vowel and it's following it. Okay, we have two here. Well, let's say we have two here and we have one vowel here. Is it going to break right here? And we have spine off. So you have to be really careful that you're paying attention to your words, because this is not spine off. see if you can find other words in there and see if it's a compound word. If you see off, you know that it's probably most likely going to be a compound word. That's why there's only really one vowel in this word and there's two F's. So it says spin off, not spine off. Okay, I have seen children do this where they want to say spine off instead of spin off. Now let's look at this word. Pug is your base word. This is the doubling rule. You're going to have a consonant, vowel, consonant, so you are going to have your double the G before you add on your vowel suffix. Puggy. Knob is your base word. Consonant, vowel, consonant. You're going to double it before you add on your vowel suffix. So puggy, it's going to break there. And so when you have your doubles, when you're breaking them into syllables and you're reading them, then you're going to break them right down the middle of those two letters. Now look at this one, you guys. Why is this doubled? This is why it's really important for you to understand. This one is easier because this is what we actually, so many kids get taught this, bam, 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 but they don't get taught this. Can you see your Latin root in here? Fect. So this is a prefix, un, which means not. And this right here is your chameleon. And we're actually going to feature this chameleon right here. And fect. So you have your Latin root and you have your Latin prefix. This is doubled because one for the prefix and one for the root. And that is on the add section, and it means to, toward, or to send. So that's what that means, to, toward, or to send. Does that make sense, you guys? That is the reason why that is double. This is a prefix, this is a Latin root. Okay? Unaffected. Since this is your Latin root, this is the prefix, then you know that this isn't accented. It goes to schwa. Most of the time it does that, but not always. Okay, now we have huff. This is the rule that if it has one vowel and it ends in an F, L, S, or a Z, then, and just put it in order, F, L, S, and Z's. It's alphabetical order. You're going to double it. See how this letter, this F is right next to its vowel. One vowel. And it's doubled. Huff, sniffs, same thing, one vowel. You're doubling your F's. So I really want you to notice that. You're doubling your F's. Double the F's. Okay, remember, F's are doubled if it has one vowel and it ends in an F. They're doubled. Okay, sniffs. Now this has a suffix. So that's the reason why. Sniff is your base word. Goggly. Why do you think this is doubled, guys? Now this right here is really important. This is a suffix. So if you take that off, this actually had an E at the end. So what does the word say?
Google.
Goggle. So like your goggles that you put on when you go swimming. Goggly.
Doesn't that change the word?
Yeah, but it still tells you why it's doubled. It's a consonant L-E syllable. Goggly eyes. You look like you have goggles on. So that's what it is. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, so if you have a consonant L-E syllable, it breaks right here. You know that that G is going to land over here. The G has to go with the consonant L-E. So if you left the double G out, it would say goggle. And you don't want goggle. So that's the reason why this is doubled, is because it's a consonant L-E syllable, even though it had its Y. So just know that was a suffix that was added on to that word, and it changed it a little bit. Cuff, you have one vowel and it ends in an F. If it's, look, it's right next to it. You don't have another letter in between your vowel and your F. That means the F is doubled. The F is doubled. Bag is your base word. Consonant, vowel, consonant. That means you're going to double your G and have, before you add on your vowel suffix. Butterfly. So we're going to have a butterfly bush, which I have one, and it's quite lovely. Anyways, I'm still waiting to clip it back to make sure that I clip it back in the right place. You do that in the spring. But I can't wait to see it blossom out and get all lovely and beautiful. Now, butterfly, we really have a compound word here, and butter is your compound word, right? Now, this is a little bit harder. Do I double it? Do I not double it? Now, this is when you have to really listen. Butter. Where's your, do we say but-er? You can hear that in that one, that T falls over here. Butter. It definitely falls. Sometimes you can't hear the way it falls, but this one you can. And if you can hear that ter is over on this side, you guys, and this is short, you have to double it. Or you would say booter, and you don't want booter. It has to be doubled because the T falls over here. So you want to be short because you want this to be a closed syllable. And that's the whole reason why you're understanding what an open syllable is, a closed syllable. Because if you didn't double it, it'd be an open syllable and would force that you to say you or ooh. Whatever this letter is, it's forcing that letter to say ooh or you or, well, you know, whatever. It forces that. Now we have our butterfly bush, which is a badilia. And Buttle, Mr. Buttle, he is the one that found the butterfly bush. He named it, and so that's why it's called a badilia. Anyways, so this is his part of his name. And so if you look at Buttle, the same thing here. It's a consonant LE syllable. So your consonant LE, they stay together. You're not breaking them apart. So if we didn't double it, it would say boodle. Same here. This is actually coming off of this word. And that's the reason why. This is doubled. It's a consonant LE syllable right here. All right, so now we have lad as our base word. This says laddish. Lad is a consonant vowel consonant. You're going to double it when you add on what kind of suffix? It's a vowel suffix. It's doubled when you add on a vowel suffix. You don't have to worry about it if it's a consonant suffix. How about cruddy? Consonant, so crud is your base word. You have a consonant vowel consonant. It needs to be doubled. This is a one syllable word, and so you need to look at it. That is the reason why this is doubled before you're adding on a vowel suffix. Now bib is, now you would think, oh, well, maybe she spelt that wrong. This kind of bib is the bib that you put around a child. This double bib, there's not really a rule except that you can't have this bib because this means the bib here, and this bib is just doubled to change the name because this is a bib lettuce. I think it's also on a boat, but you just, that one would have to be a spelling rule. And if you really focus on this one, you would know how to spell it because you're buying the lettuce and you would work with that. So there's not, you would, this would be a true sight word. This one right here is just how you would spell it, and it's not doubled. All right, so now we have whiffs. Why is this doubled? Correct, Daniel. This is doubled because it has one vowel and it has an F. So I really wanted to focus on the Fs today, and it has an F, one vowel, and it's followed by an F. There's nothing in between it. And so whiff is your base word. It has the plural S on here. And so now we have whiffs. So I'm going to take whiffs, and whiffs is a noun, and we're going to put them in the noun positions in sentences. right in here. All these pink ones, I put with in the noun positions, and so we're going to talk about that. So I caught a whiff of garbage. Okay, it is a noun position. So if what position, if it's a noun position, what?
Direct.
So this is a direct object. Paul, are you seeing that? Okay, I caught a whiff. So you have to look at your verb first. What's receiving the caught? You might be thinking it's the garbage that's receiving the caught, but it's not the garbage.
It's the whiff.
It's the whiff. And see, of garbage right here, that is a prepositional phrase. So this is a prepositional phrase. This is your direct object. This prepositional phrase is acting as an adjective phrase that is describing your whiff. It's a whiff. What kind of whiff? Well, it's a whiff of garbage. But you had to know what your verb is, caught, to be able to see if you even have a direct object. What's being caught? That's how you find your direct object. What's being caught, Paul?
A whiff.
The whiff is being caught. We're not catching the garbage. In some places, maybe you could catch the garbage if it's flying away in the wind, but not in this sentence. Now, I gagged on a whiff of garbage. What position is this whiff sitting in? It's a noun position, but what position?
Object of the
So see where your preposition is on. This is the object of the preposition. So this is an object position of your sentence. This is your prepositional phrase right here. Now, and this is also a prepositional phrase. So do we have a direct object with gagged? No, we don't. You're right. So just because you can have a direct object doesn't mean you will. So I gagged, we have just prepositional phrases that give us more information. They're the workhorse, you guys. I gagged on a whiff of garbage. So see, of garbage is another prepositional phrase that is describing whiff, and on a whiff is describing, this is adverb phrase describing gagged. So now look at this one. The whiff of garbage was disgusting. So now look at the whiff there. What position? You're right, Daniel. That is the subject position of the sentence. Do you see that, Paul? So see how we have them sitting in different noun positions in the sentence. It can move around. I think whiff is easier to use as a noun than a verb, but it can also be used as a verb. So we have our subject. What is of garbage? Yeah, this is a preposition. This is the object of the preposition. So see how the whiff was disgusting? We can say that, but of garbage is describing the whiff, and it is acting as an adjective phrase describing that noun. All right, so Cindy plugged her nose because of the whiff of disgust that she smelled on the subway. Now, first off, let's find the verb. What is it? Plugged. And Cindy is my sister, and I have seen her plug her nose when we've been in New York. So anyways, so plugged right here is your verb. Now let's see, do we have a direct object in here? What's being plugged?
Nose.
Yeah, your direct object is the nose. So what's being plugged? Her nose is being plugged. Her right here, you guys. Is that an indirect object? No, it's not. It's describing, it's her nose. So you have nothing in between there. So we know we do not have an indirect object in this phrase, but this whiff, what position is it sitting in?
In the object.
Yeah, it is sitting, the object of the preposition, because right there is, because of is your prepositional phrase, and it has a relationship with this noun. Now, we also have another prepositional phrase of discussed. This discussed is a noun position, and this is an object of the preposition right here. Do we have another object position sitting in this sentence?
Yeah.
What is it?
Subway.
Nice. So this is an object of the preposition. Your preposition is on. Okay? So make sure that you find your list of prepositions. There'll be lots of lists out there, and just memorize your list of prepositions. Some will add more to it and some will take out. Each list is slightly different, so just find a list and memorize them, and then you'll get a feel of what your prepositions are. Remember, they are a relationship with your noun. So we have the chair again. Remember, it's a relationship. I'm going to be on the chair, right? I'm going to be on the chair. I'm going to be around the chair. I'm going to be by the chair. I'm going to be over the chair, right? We're going to be under the chair. So just remember, it has a relationship. It's telling you where you're going to go with your noun. And my noun right now is the chair. Okay? All right. Let's talk about what a whiff is. So we're going to have a little bit of some dictionary words right here. So what is a whiff? Well, it's a small breath of air. You're like, and you get a small breath of something. It's a noun. So all of these we use them as noun. It's a puff. Oh, look at that. We have a double right there because we have one vowel and it ends in an F. Smell. We have a double right here because we have one vowel and it ends in an L. See how it's right next to it. There's no other letter between the L and the E. That's when you know you have to double it. Okay, also, a whiff can be a strikeout. That means when you're in baseball and you have 3 strikes and you have a strikeout, that's called a whiff, which I thought was really interesting. Also, as a verb, you can have whiff, whiffed, whiffing. Now remember, these are your participles and they're being shared. Remember, participle means sharing. You're sharing with another part of speech. Okay, so whiff life away. So see right here, it's acting as your verb right here. So what's the subject?
You.
You. It's assumed that you know. Whiff life away. Okay, here we have a question. Why did you whiff the cigarette? So you're taking a puff of smoke. Super bad for you. Okay, so now let's look at this sentence right here. And I was thinking of my sister's family, Cindy. So I'm featuring her in this video. We just saw her and we went to a Yankees game, which was super fun. But by the 8th inning, the Yankees had 1 whiff. Okay, so that means they had a complete strikeout. So obviously the Yankees were doing crazy good in this game. We actually lost in our game, but they won the next time that they played. So, but that's what that means. So by the 8th inning, the Yankees had 1 whiff. So is this a noun or a verb?
Which one?
This whiff right here.
Noun.
This is a noun. It's acting as a direct object. Whiff is so much easier to put in as a noun than a verb. It's just easier. So, but it can be both. So how do you know that this is a direct object? First off, we find our what?
Verb.
We find our verb. What's our verb, Paul? Nice. So our verb is had. What's being had? The with is being had, so that is your direct object.
And one is describing with.
Yeah, and one is describing with. By the 8th inning is describing had. So right here is a prepositional phrase. By. By what? This is your object of the preposition right there. Okay, so now let's look at our doubling again, so you're not going to get bored. We want attitudes. Why is that double? Okay, so we have attitudes. Now, this one right here, attitude. So attitude is your base word, and you have, can you hear it go, Where's the T falling? T. But this right here is short, right here. But you can hear it go, T. It has to be doubled to keep this saying This is the accent syllable right here. And that's the reason why it says So if you don't have it doubled, it will say attitude. And so it has to be doubled to make that. Now this one, you might think it can be a chameleon prefix, but it's not. So that's the reason why this is doubled right here. Scrap is your base word on scrapped. So you have to look at the, see how it only has one vowel in here. It's a one syllable word. You have a consonant, vowel, consonant, so it needs to be doubled before you add on your vowel suffix, right, Paul? Okay, so that's a vowel suffix. You only double it if with a consonant, vowel, consonant if it's a vowel suffix, because it's the vowel that's affecting this vowel. Vowels affect other vowels, and that's the reason why it has to be doubled. I thought this was a crazy, fun word to understand the doubling rule. Now, what is our base word here? Fill is your base word. And you might think, well, it's doubled because, well, here's your base word, F-I-L, and then we have to double it because we're adding on our vowel suffix, but that is not the case in this one. This exactly, Daniel, this is doubled because you have one vowel and it has an L. Remember, FLS's and Z's, you're doubling it if it has one vowel and it's following it. See how there's nothing right there between that vowel and the L. So this is, your base word is F-I-L-L, fill. So you're not doing a doubling rule there or you're not doing the initial doubling rule where it's a consonant, vowel, consonant. Your word is fill, and then you just add on your ing. It's actually, when you look at the last three letters, it's a vowel, consonant, consonant in this one. And that's the reason why this one is doubled. Now, I think this is really interesting. Where does full typically fall? So you're right, Paul, it falls at the end most of the time. But this is an unusual word where we are putting it at the beginning as a prefix and not a suffix. So this full, since it is, so we have full right here and full right here. Which is which? This is what?
A prefix.
Well, typically it's the suffix, but in here we have it as a prefix, but this is a suffix. F-U-L, one L, one L, one L. This full is my stomach is full. Two L's. It's following the rule. If you have one vowel and it ends in an L and it's followed by an L and it ends in the L, then you're going to double it. That's following that rule. But the suffix only has one. So right here, that's why this only has one L. It's just being put right on. So this is unusual that you'll see full at the beginning of a word, fulfilling. Pull-ups. Why do you think? Huh? Okay, nice, Daniel. Very good. So this is a compound word, and it's following the rule where you have one vowel, and it is an L. See how this letter is followed by the L. This vowel is followed by the L. That matters that you know that. If it's followed by the L, then you know it needs to be doubled. And remember, it's just one vowel. Pull-ups. And it's at the end of a word. Pull is its very own word. So that's the reason why this is doubled, because it is its very own word sitting in a compound word, even though it's in the middle. It looks like it's in the middle. But compound words have their very own words. You spell them the exact same way as you would spell them if they were sitting by themselves. Okay, so this one is, look, it has 3 vowels. Do we just break it right between, so don't we say, do we break it right between the consonants? No, not in this word. You don't. That's why butterfly we do, buttle we do, but we don't do it when it's this kind. When it has one vowel and it ends in an F, you do not break it in where it has those kind of double L's or double F's or double S's or double Z's. You're not breaking it between those when you're trying to figure out your syllables. You are breaking it where the word breaks. Ball. You have one vowel and it ends with an L. Look, the L is right next to its vowel. One vowel and it ends in an L. Ballroom. So it breaks right where the word breaks. This is doubled because this is a Latin root and this is its prefix. So this C is for the prefix, the Latin prefix, and this C is for the root. And AC means to, toward, or to send. Can you see this really well? Okay, so same here. Why is this doubled? See here, we just break it in between the C's, but you do not do that with a word like this or a word like this. So here is word and here is your prefix. And this AC means to, toward, or to send. To, toward, or to send. That's what I want you guys to memorize, that. To, toward, or to send. All right, so now we have, this is a really big confusable. Adduct means to draw toward. Adduct. Can we say that? Can you guys say that? Adduct. Okay, so adduct means draw toward. Like you're adducting your arms, you're drawing them towards, you're drawing your fingers towards and closing them. So this you will find in science and chemistry and the medical world. But this one, abduct, where people get these so confused, it's to lead away or to kidnap. So it's really important that you understand the difference between these prefixes because they almost sound exactly the same. So if we're going to do that, let's look into the prefix over here. And we have AB, which we had the abduct. It means from, away from. So we have abduct means to lead. Abduct, you are leading somebody away from safety. If you're thinking an abduction is being a kidnapping, you are leading somebody away. So AB means away or from, and duct means to lead. See how you're going to understand this a lot better if you're understanding these prefixes and what the Latin root actually means. So, is that super helpful, you guys? So, but when you have adduct, that is falling right here in this prefix. Okay, so this is really confusing. See how you would think that the B would be in here, but it's not. This is away from, and this is toward. So AB, away. AD, toward. But AD, AC, AF, AG, AL, AN, AP, AR, AS means toward. So when you're using these prefixes, so that's why this can be really confusing. And then remember, duct means to lead. So if you put ab, you're going to lead somebody away from safety. If you put ad, you're leading them towards you. Okay? Now look at stucco. Stucco, stucco. This C is doubled because you can hear it fall. Stucco. You can hear it fall on the other end. So you have to have it doubled or it will say stucco. It would end up being long if it's not doubled because that is an open syllable. Stucco work, there's another dictionary word that I really wanted you to learn and understand is fine exterior. And I wish I had stucco on my house. So I did this right here on the outside of my house. It is actually a faux paint that looks like brick. And I'm really tired of doing it. But so I wish I had stucco. Instead, I did the faux paint outside, which actually looks pretty cool. But it's a work that happens outside. Oftentimes that gets confused with plaster, stucco work, but typically stucco work happens outside and plaster happens inside. Okay, so now if we look at pull down, pull has the doubling on here is one vowel and it ends in an L, and so that is a compound word, but pull is its very own word. This is doubled because pull has one vowel and it ends in an L. So it breaks right there. And I put this right here because if you are being abducted, you are being pulled down, you're being pulled away from the people that you love. And so I want you to remember, you're being pulled away, you're being pulled down from the people that loves you. We're using the prefixes that we talked about in this lesson, and we're just going to go over some words that have the prefix in them. So we have mega cities. Mega means huge, large, big. So that means like a city in New York. New York is a mega city, but where I live, it is a micro city. Microsites. Micro means really small. Monotoned, one tone. Megastar. Mega means what? Really big, great. So a great star. Microbic. Very, very small. Small microbes, right? Creatures, you see them with a microscope. Transmitted. Trans means across. So mit is your Latin root. That means to send. You're transmitting, you're sending it across something with the wires. Unionizing. You're having one body of people coming together and thinking the same. You're coming together and you're wanting the same thing. One. Monopoly. Mono means one. Postpone. Post means what? Behind or after. So you're postponing something. You're putting it behind you. Okay, unicycle. One, very good. Extractions.
Taking something away.
Well, extra means
Giving.
Yeah, you have more. You're pulling it out. You're having more, right? So interstate. Inter means
Inside.
between. Inter means between. So an interstate, they're roads and they're coming and meeting in between things. All right? Interrex, you're in between. This is a leader. This is government. Prepay. Pre means before. You're paying it before so you can for sure get that payment. Non-active. Non means Not. Exactly. And you could also use on active, inactive, which also means not. So in this word, you could use it either way, whichever you prefer. Most of the time, it really takes the one prefix. That means not, but you can use that one on both of them. Preclude. Pre means before. Macrofossils. What does macro mean? Large. So microscope, that's how I kind of remember micro. You're looking in it to look at really, really small things. Macro means really big. Macro fossils, big, just big fossils. So can you think of a really large fossil? A T-Rex. We went to the Natural History Museum in New York City, and they have lots and lots of macro fossils there that you see. They're just really large. Post-test. So if you think about a pre-test, that's before. So you're going to take a math class and you're taking a pre-test to see, oh, should I be in the math? Where am I at? Where do I fall? And then after the math class, you're going to take a post-test to see how you're doing. How you progress. You're going to take the same test and you're going to see how you did in the class and how much knowledge you've increased. Transplant. Trans means across. I've transplanted lots of plants because we just put in our yard, and I just did it again this last week. I dug up some plants in my neighbor's yard and I transplanted them to my yard, some daisies. So I'm excited to see them grow. No, she gave them to me. Semi-open. Semi means partly, means half. So it's partly open, it's halfway open. Macroeconomics. When you think of a macroeconomics, what do you think of? Macro means what?
Screen.
No, macro means?
Oh, huge.
Huge, large. So an macroeconomics would be like our nation. And then a microeconomics would be like my city. Or if you want to think of a macroeconomics, you can say the city that we live in, but the microeconomics would be our economics that our family has. Interviews. So inter means between. So between your views of people, you're going to have an interview. Mega means huge. Phone means sound. So you're going to have a huge sound. A megaphone is going to make lots of sound, right? Here's my megaphone. Semi-coma. Semi means partly, or what else?
Or a part.
Semi means partly or half. So you're in like a part coma or a half coma. Unicorn. Uni means one horn from this horse. So extra legally. Extra means, what does extra mean? Or, what? So the X means out of, the tra means beyond. So you have extra, you have more than what you really need. Presynaptic, what?
Before.
Yeah, exactly. This is before. Pre-tax, the tax is before. Post-teen, what's a post-teen?
Before your teen, later.
After your teenage years. So I'm post-teen, you guys are your teenagers, and then 12 and under would be preteen. Okay, so we're gonna be pre-faded, like my jeans were pre-faded. We have extras. So extras, it means what? Do you guys remember what extras mean? It means beyond or out of or outside. So you can have, that could be its very own word. You can have the plural S on it. Yes?
What about extras in like a movie?
Yeah, exactly. You're beyond what you need. You have more. You're having lots of extra people than just the actors that are there. Unipolarity. One. Oh, see if you guys can read this word. This is a tricky word to read. Very, very tricky. A lot of people, because they know the word auto, they're going to read it.
Autocracy.
Autocracy. but you need to be very, exactly, autocracy. You be very careful when you're putting Greek and this one and your other prefixes that end in an O, whether it's Greek or Latin, you need to be really careful how you're saying that O. Autocracy. It's going to be different. This means one government done by itself. This means self. One particular person that by themselves is in charge of the government. Okay? So intermediacy, you're between meditations. This is kind of a knockoff of meditating. Okay, so just see how if you practice your prefixes, how you're going to understand your words better. Practice a few prefixes a day until you understand what they mean. So it's really important to understand what these prefixes mean. And really, once you get going on these, it'll just expound your vocabulary words. So now we have the word socialize. And we're going to talk about eyes right here. Now, social is an organization. This is a dictionary word, boys, that I want you to pay attention to. Social is really an organization. Eyes means you're becoming like this organization. So socialize means make someone behave in their society. So whatever society that you're living in, they're going to make you behave in that society. And that means you're socializing them. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Okay. So now realize, real is a fact. It's real. And eyes means to become. So realize means cause something to happen. You're realizing something and you're causing it to happen. So realizing she was having company for Mother's Day, Cindy prepared the bedroom. That actually happened because she had my kids over there for Mother's Day, and my other sister's son. She had lots of company for Mother's Day. I was a tad bit jealous, but I had a really great Mother's Day. But anyways, that's how, see how this one has a suffix ing. Real eyes has the suffix, and then ing is a suffix. Let's talk about the suffix ize. This, I really want you guys to pay attention to this because you will probably see this in your reading. So we have ise means become. So if you have ise as a suffix, it means become, and in America you're not going to really see that. It's British. So how they would do realizing is realizE, or realize. So memorize is the British, this is the British way, and memorize, IZE, is the American way. So you might see both of these, and depending on where you're living, which one should you do. Now also, you're going to see ISE in the end of lots of words. We save IZE most of the time as a suffix. And so sometimes you'll see ISE at the end of a word and it's just part of the word. It's not part of the suffix. But if you're seeing it as ISE, because like memory is your base word here. And so we're adding ISE or IZE as the suffix. So be careful with that. Wherever you're living is which one you want to be doing. So it equals the exact same thing. And I thought this was really interesting. Since I'm featuring my sister Cindy in this, I thought surprise is this is a surprise, Cindy, that I'm featuring you in this video. You probably won't even watch it. But anyways, she does bell ringing. And so surprise actually has bell ringing. I can't remember the name of it. And it also means astonishment, which I just surprised Cindy and used her in my video. So I thought that was kind of fun. So that is another, see how this surprise, and this is not a suffix. So this is an English word that is not used as the suffix ise or ize. It's just the word that ends in ise. So be careful with that. We're going to talk about ussy, and it's a suffix, or you see them on the end of lots of words, and they mean something. So it means a state or a quality. Now we have literacy, privacy, state of quality of being literate, because literate is your main word, your base word. And we have illiteracy. Do you guys know what these words mean?
Yeah.
What does literacy mean?
It means to be literate.
Okay, what does literacy mean?
To be illiterate.
Okay, what does that mean? Literacy means that you can read and write. So you guys are both, you have literacy, all right? You have a quality or state of being able to read and write. Now, what do you think illiteracy is?
More quality of having.
So this is really interesting. I loved
Privacy.
the difference of these words, and I think that a lot of us get confused. Illiteracy, with just an A in front of it, means that you are in a state or a quality of being able to read and write, but you choose not to do it. So here you can read and write. Here you choose not to do it in the privacy of your own home. You guys are right here, but now let's put in a prefix right here. And we're going to put in a chameleon prefix, which means illiteracy. What does ill mean? It's in the in section. Not at a state or a quality being able to read and write. I do want you guys to understand. So this means just adding that prefix, see how it changed it completely opposite of what it actually means. Does that make sense? All right, I thought that was really interesting actually. So now we have autocracy, intermediacy. So ACY is a state or a quality. Now, we talked a little bit about this earlier in the lesson. Full equals full of. Whatever your base word is, whatever your word is, it means full of. Now remember, if it's the suffix, you're going to spell it with one L. If you're spelling the word full, as in I'm full, I've eaten a lot, or full of whatever the base word is, you're going to spell it with the double L. Now remember, this is one of your doubling rules that you need to understand. If you have one vowel and it's followed by an L, it is going to be doubled. You need to remember that. That is one of your doubling rules that you have to know. And that will be in one syllable words that you will know that. So also, full means tending to. This is super interesting. So you're tending to the beauty. So let's say I tend to my garden, which I do, and if I am not out there cleaning up the debris or all of the leaves and the weeds and stuff, my flowers are not going to be as beautiful. I trim them back in the fall and in the spring, and so we can have more flowers, and that makes them beautiful. So I'm tending to that. Now, if we think about it with our bodies, all of us are beautiful, but when we smoke or do other things like drugs and those type of things, then we are not tending to the beauty that we have, that we can become. So just take care of yourself. Also, I think that's super interesting, truthful. You're tending to the truth. It's hard to tell the truth sometimes. You choose to tell the truth, so you're tending to it. So this is really fun, because most of the time you just hear that full is full of whatever the base word is. But you're also tending to whatever the base word is when you add the suffix full onto it. Painful, you're tending to the pain. Are you just going to be in pain, or you're going to try to make it go away? You're going to take care of the pain. You're going to clean up your wounds and your sores. You're going to get the rest that you need. You're going to take the medicine that you need to get rid of the pain because you do not want to have pain. So full means full of, or you're tending to, whatever the base word is. Okay, now we talked about ism, boys. What does ism mean? Earlier in the lesson, we talked about ism. So it means a belief, but I had 3 other definitions. So there's 4. Means a condition, a philosophy, a doctrine. So I want us to remember that. Ism means a belief, a condition, a philosophy, a doctrine. So let's say it in a different order. Ism means a belief, a doctrine, a condition, a philosophy. Doctrine, philosophy, condition.
Philosophy, condition.
Say it again. What does ism mean? It is a belief. It's a condition. It's a philosophy. It's a doctrine. Say it again.
A belief is a belief. A belief, a doctrine, a philosophy, and a condition.
Okay, so I want you to remember what ism means, because it's going to help you understand what your word is. So your base word right here is patriot, patriotism. So it's a belief that I have. I am a patriot. I love my country. I love living in the United States. And it is going to, it's my belief that I love my country. It could maybe even be a philosophy here, but I believe in being a patriot to my country. Okay, so how about luminism? Well, here, lumen, it means light. And ism is a condition, luminism. All right, how about criticism? Critic means to judge. And so you could either be judged righteously or you could be judged unrighteously, because there's righteous judgments. We always have to make judgments, right? So being a critic or having criticism isn't always bad. It sometimes sounds bad, but it isn't always bad. We always like, oh, they're criticizing me. So depending on how you're taking it, depends off if it's bad or not. Yeah, do you have a question? So critic means judge, and ism here, I would say it's a philosophy, because if somebody's deciding to criticize you, it's what they believe. It's a belief of theirs. So it's their philosophy to choose to tell you what is right and what is wrong. Okay? Okay, so now us. How do we spell us when it is a suffix? Okay, so us.
O-U-S.
O-U-S. How do we spell us when it is a suffix added on to a base word, added on to the root, whatever?
O-U-S.
O-U-S. That is when it's a suffix, but O-U-S can be at the end of lots of words, even if it's not adding onto a suffix. But it's characterized by, so we have like joyous. See how joy is your base word? We're adding it on to be joyous, right? So also, us, you just have to be careful. We talked about that earlier in the lesson, how some words, the O is taken out and you just have US that says us, which makes sense. But a lot of this came from Latin. Latin cannot always be turned to English. And so that's the reason why sometimes there's tricky words out there to, with things like this. It can't always be changed. And so we have to just say, well, we're gonna change it to this, and then we as people learn it and memorize it and decide what we're going to do with it. So sometimes we combine things, and like in chemistry, things are different. with the OUS than in regular science. Just in chemistry and science, it's just could be a little bit different. So be careful with when you're doing us. Anyways, I hope that you loved this lesson, and I really enjoyed teaching it to my boys. I just felt it was really important for them to know a lot of these things and the dictionary words. So I will see you in the next lesson.
Thanks for watching. Bye.
Okay, bye everybody.